Welcome to Focus on Why. I'm Amy Rowlinson, your host. Join me to explore the compelling stories, profound insights, and captivating experiences shared by my guests from all over the world. Focusing on the importance of why, these relatable, uplifting, and inspiring conversations will empower, motivate, and guide you to create your own purposeful way of life. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Do you truly understand the power of a focus on why in business? Are your employees fully engaged? Do they consider their work meaningful? Or does your organisation have purpose gaps? Focusing on key areas of employee engagement, contribution, fulfilment, well-being and purpose, all of which have proven links to increased productivity and profitability, I deliver inspiring, mesmerising and captivating talks and workshops providing clear, actionable steps to take. To discuss your specific business needs, reach out to me via the link in the show notes and together we can plug those purpose gaps. Why are you here? What's your purpose in life? What's the meaning of your life? These are the very questions you'll likely spend your entire life attempting to answer. These are the very questions that instigated not only the start of designing a new sustainable way of life for my family and for me, but also to help all of those worldwide. How could I help people worldwide? Well, amid widespread uncertainty, I took the bold step to launch this podcast, marking a pivotal shift from me, from addressing these personal questions and challenges to attempting to solve a much broader global issue, which I soon realised wasn't just a problem, it was a crisis, an existential crisis of meaning affecting countless individuals. So using my podcasting and coaching skills, through the podcast, I offered guidance and support to all those who, like John and me, were feeling unfulfilled, disengaged and disconnected in work and life, to avoid those midlife crises and instead focus on midlife beginnings. But that was back in 2020. Here we are now, over 4 years on. Surely everyone is now living and breathing purpose in their life and work because of the podcast. Well, sadly, no, it would appear not. Despite the rise of meaning, purpose and value on employee and business agendas, an emergence and establishment of purpose-driven cultures centred on sustainability, collaboration and community, many people in the world still remain unfulfilled, disengaged from their work and disconnected from their personal or business purpose. And when I say many people, would it surprise you that it's a staggering 77% of the global workforce who are either actively disengaged or not engaged at work? That's what Gallup reported in their State of the Workplace Report 2024, saying also that employees reported a decline in their mental health with increasing levels of stress. 58% are struggling and 8% are suffering in work and life. This level of low employee engagement is exacting a high cost on business, leading to reduced productivity, which Gallup estimates is costing the global economy, wait for this, $8.9 trillion. That's 9% of the global GDP. Of all 10 regions surveyed, Europe ranked lowest, with only 13% engaged at work. The UK ranked 15th out of 38 countries in Europe in terms of thriving at work and in life, and it ranked second from those surveyed who experience daily sadness. In the 2023 report, Gallup's CEO, John Clifton, said that the cost of this low engagement on the global economy is enough to make the difference between success and a failure for humanity. Wow. So what's the solution? Gallup proposed one. It was change the way your people are managed. But is it really that simple? And if so, how should people be managed to ensure they're engaged and fulfilled? Well, maybe we could shift the focus to see what's working. Those 23% of the global workforce who say they're engaged in their work, maybe that will give us some key insights. And looking at what is happening, especially across what the managers are doing there, they're focusing on the common goal, the mission and the purpose. They're taking time to listen, to guide, to nurture and teach. They're building great relationships with their teams and working collaboratively in a less hierarchical structure. They're giving people autonomy to make decisions, to care about their future and valuing and recognising their efforts. They're focusing on growth, progression, and solutions, and identifying and developing their employees' gifts and talents. And they do this through establishing this culture of understanding. But it's only working for 23% of the global workforce. And perhaps it's because that while managers may be more engaged and thriving in life, they're more likely to be stressed, angry, sad, lonely, and worried than non-managers. And they're often needing the most support with their mental health and well-being. With these levels of low well-being and productivity, do you feel it's okay to assign responsibility to improve the global workforce's health to these managers? No, this cannot be the only solution available. I believe there has to be another way, and my solution is to be found through a combination of purpose, meaning, and action. This is why I've written a book. This is why I've written a book all about purpose and how to create a purposeful way of life. The answer is not to start with why, as Simon Sinek encouraged us to do in his book 15 years ago. It's to focus on why. As purpose sits at the core of a company's strategy to provide a more unified business, knowing how to assign meaning to everyday tasks is critical to shifting the dial from low to high engagement at work. Therefore, I see the solution to be that we each need to take responsibility to improve our own engagement levels at work, to make our work and everyday life more meaningful, and to focus on how to improve our own health and well-being. Improvement across all these areas means greater personal fulfilment. Higher productivity naturally ensues, as well profitability. Instead of delegating responsibility, be the change you wish to see and commit to taking that action yourself today. That somebody could be, should be, needs to be you. Taking personal responsibility is your first step. Identifying how to shift the dial is the next. And this is where my book, Focus on Why, Create a Purposeful Way of Life, comes in to help. Discovering the root cause of larger issues, determining their solutions, is the foundation of your purpose. This means establishing a courageous space to create your own life of purpose and meaning, to take responsibility to effect change and to make a difference. Desmond Tutu once said that there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. Are you in the water waiting to be saved, or are you striding with purpose along the bank to solve the problem? Change begins when you stand up for what you believe. If you're finding yourself unfulfilled, you can fix that. Do you ever catch yourself saying somebody really should do something about? Insert your own concern or inspiration for change in that gap. How about Charlotte Jones, my guest from episode 351? She's sharing global awareness on how to achieve freedom from fatigue. Or Caroline Flanagan, my guest from episode 380, trailblazing the way to empower Black lawyers to overcome barriers and bias to fulfill their potential and effect positive change by encouraging them to understand that they're not the only Black person in the room, they're the first. Or what about Lauren Chiran from episode 257, who was misdiagnosed with early onset dementia, which prompted a premature departure from her senior financial services role, but it ignited her mission to change the narrative of menopause in the workplace, educating organisations globally to become menopause inclusive. It could be anything. How you make your difference is completely up to you, but know that you can make a difference. What about you? What do you stand for in the world? What problem needs solving? What really needs to change? There's often a moment in life when you recognise or realise that that somebody could be, should be, or needs to be you. For me, that moment was at first something closer to home. It was back in the summer of 2016. Found myself partly existing, partly living. And when I realised that the way of life that John and I had been pursuing was not sustainable, we needed to change the lifestyle and adopt a new way of life. It was time to choose a new path, to take control, to switch off autopilot, to stop existing and really start living. What had happened is that we'd both been swept up by other people's dreams, expectations, and intentions. Our declining health, also known as burnout, had been the catalyst to propel us into living with intention and purpose, to clarify our values, to learn how we could be of greater service to others, to not just leave a legacy, but live our legacy. We invested in personal growth. We had this new perspective on life. We realised that we'd been existing and not living, and recognised that we needed a new lifestyle, this new way of life. With a purpose, a plan, and a focus on why, we brought more meaning into life. We stopped filling in the moments and started to create fulfilling moments. And we adopted a mantra of it's never too late to. And instead of saying someone should really do something about the global existential crises, I took what had been a personal issue for me to tackle it at a global level, to help all those millions of people who are unfulfilled and doing unmeaningful work. I knew that I could take what I'd done for my own family and shine a light on what's possible when you focus on why to help so many other people. That 77% of the global workforce, I'm starting. I've been doing that for the last 4 years, and that's why I created my podcast. Here I am, 4 years later, 430 episodes later, and I'm still shining a light. And now I've written a book. I'm on a personal mission to stop people from thinking that they need to find their why externally, to dispel the myth around purpose. It's often seen as this overcomplicated, elusive, impossible pursuit, and I often witness the anxiety when people can't find or define their purpose. That who am I? How do I find my why question? Well, it's time to stop searching externally because you're not going to find it, particularly down the side of your sofa. The truth is you don't find your why externally. You create and feel it from within. And your purpose and your why are not the same. They're interconnected, but they're not the same. Purpose is your overarching intention which guides the direction in your life, and it's whatever you choose it to be. It's as simple as that. Your why is the emotional significance that you assign to your purpose, and it becomes your biggest intrinsic motivator because your why provides you with all the commitment and focus needed to achieve your goals or intentions aligned to your purpose. My book contains a 9-step framework, and after each step, I've given you opportunities to practice what I call reflection with action. This is how you create a more purposeful way of life. The why, or the meaning, emerges from reflection, whereas purpose is created through your action. Without a defined understanding of meaning and purpose, you'll find yourself reacting to events rather than recognizing how they each hold a meaningful significance that contributes to guiding your intentional actions and to achieving fulfillment. Reflection with action isn't just an individual practice to create a purposeful way of life. It's an essential process for business operations too. Fueled by deep, purposeful reflection, your everyday actions become catalysts for positive change. They ignite powerful ripple effects that extend far beyond your immediate influence to create lasting impact. When you focus on developing your internal understanding of how to respond effectively through the practice of reflection with action, you know that you can stop searching for that external why and start creating it from within. When you're busy spinning plates, it's difficult to see the true reflection of life. When you're in the frame, you're not able to see the bigger picture. You need someone to either hold up a mirror, or it requires you to step outside of that frame to get clarity on your surroundings and your identity, to reveal the opportunities for that purposeful action. My book holds up that mirror for you. It gives you a framework to use, and it acts as your lifelong companion to help navigate a way through all of your life stages. It will give you a hug when you need it, but it will also give you some tough love with that firm kick up the backside if required. You already likely have all the tools that you need to make a meaningful impact and to create a more purposeful life right now. But this book shows you how to apply those tools. So having addressed my personal challenges and shifted to global one, focusing on solving this existential crisis that millions of people are experiencing, I've created this podcast and I've written this book on this critical topic of purpose, a book that I've been wanting to write for a long time. And many people can testify who've witnessed my journey of writing that it's been at many points painful, frustrating and annoying, but at other times inspiring and joyful. This book was born from a deep passion and interest in this topic of purpose, and it's led me to attempt to understand as much as I can. I've combined insights and wisdom gleaned from my own experience of living with and without purpose, with the insights and wisdom from many of my podcast conversations, from my life purpose coaching sessions, and also from my grandfather's commonplace scrapbook. Now, if you haven't heard the backstory as to how and why this book involves my late grandfather to be my co-author, I suggest you go back and listen to episode 400, Focus on Why Goosebumps, where my developmental editor interviews me and I share the book's origin story. What I can share with you here is that when I first opened my grandfather's commonplace scrapbook, it fell open to a particular page and, more specifically, a particular entry. 30th of September 1942. Proposal to write way of life, to meet the need for a planned life, to meet every circumstance of life, every facet of living. Are you joking? A planned life? 80 years later, here I am saying have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. This was a really special moment for me because it was when I realised I could use my grandfather's words and combine his book alongside mine. And to do that, I would then fulfill his proposal, that proposal to write Way of Life, but also write the book that I'd been wanting to write for years. The result is I've curated what I believe to be a unique life purpose guide, centering on vulnerability, authenticity, and imperfection. It also involves serendipity, synchronicity, and a series of coincidences that still baffle me to this day. But I definitely believe, for one thing, that the universe has conspired to make this book happen. The serendipitous discovery of the scrapbook led me to co-author it with him and helped me to understand just how much of my grandfather's DNA is in me. Purpose has been embedded within my whole body, my whole life. When I discovered his book, I'd already been spending years gathering my own data around purpose. But with his, I could amplify and stress the importance and relevance of this message across generations. No, my why didn't start with Simon Sinek. It came from my grandfather, who had been writing about purpose 82 years ago. But even then, he wasn't the first. This conversation around purpose and why started thousands of years ago. It's deep within everyone's DNA. However, it was also another one of George's entries on the 25th of March 1945 that truly instigated me in taking action and sustaining me in wanting to write the book. Doubtless it too would contribute something to history, but a later chronicler must speak of this. Oh my goodness, that's somebody who should really do something about this. That somebody is me. No one else is going to read this. No one else is going to speak about this. It has to be me. George is speaking to me from beyond the grave. My book is to show you that regardless of your circumstances, you're responsible for creating your purposeful way of life, for choosing and creating moments which are fulfilling rather than simply filling in the moments. This is a difference between living and existing. And when you embrace that responsibility to focus on why, you understand what truly holds meaning for you. This initiates a lifelong exploration of self-discovery and growth, and it uses three key elements: a purpose, a plan, and a focus on why. So please stop trying to find your why and instead create and feel it from within. Purpose is the overarching intention that guides your direction in life. And your why is the emotional significance that you assign to that purpose. Are you creating fulfilling and purposeful moments? Are you embracing every moment? Do you know how to recognize those nudges that the universe sends you and how to act upon them? I'm no longer that person who was drifting unfulfilled and filling in those moments. I now create moments which are fulfilling, and I help others to do the same. In writing the book and getting it published, I have fulfilled my grandfather's proposal to write Way of Life. I am the later chronicler who must speak of this. I am that somebody who should do something about all those people who are disengaged and unfulfilled and disconnected at work. I take purposeful action as every moment matters. This life is not a dress rehearsal. This is your one and only life. It's our one and only life, and we won't get this moment again. At this point in my life, I've understood my assignment so far, but I know that it will evolve into something else. I know that because I've had a very clear vision on what my next chapter in life looks like. And I've already taken purposeful action to start making that happen, to become a reality and not just stay as a dream. So I'll ask you that question again that I asked right at the beginning of this episode. Why are you here? What is your purpose? It's time to step out of the frame and see the mirrored reflection of your own life story, the story that awaits you, the story waiting to unfold through reflection with action. Take your first step to creating your purposeful way of life right now by buying a copy of my book on Amazon. The link is in the show notes. And after you've read it, I want to hear, what action have you taken? What purposeful way of life have you created through your focus on why? What value have you gained from tuning into Focus on Why today? What are your reflections with actions? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or via LinkedIn and share how Focus on Why has made a difference to you. Your feedback not only will inspire others, but will help them to discover how Focus on Why has created powerful ripple effects. Let's continue the conversation. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook or X, join the Focus on Why Facebook group, and sign up for my weekly newsletter, Friday Focus, to keep in touch. All the links are in the show notes. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.